As we transition to the new normal, we have left others behind. We need to reimagine and redesign our educational system. With the collective effort of schools, sponsors, and TagPro's learning management system, and core of passionate teachers, we can deliver free education and champion the cause of our students. Together, we would be able to teach, inspire, and serve, because TagPros believes that education is a right all children deserve.
Are both iOS devices. The steps on backing up data for both devices using iCloud or Mac are just the same. Well, that information is up for another presentation. Back up your Mac using iCloud. You can store files and folders on iCloud Drive. You just have to update your Mac to the latest macOS. Set up iCloud on all of your devices. Make sure that you are signed into iCloud with the same Apple ID on all of your devices. After setting up the iCloud, we can begin the steps to use it for data backup. Go to Apple menu, System Preferences, then click Apple ID. If you're using macOS Mojave or earlier, you don't need to click Apple ID. Select iCloud. Sign in with your Apple ID if you need to. If you think your unit needs assessment or repair, kindly schedule your appointment with us or email support at serviceupdate@powermaccenter.com.
Afternoon, everyone. I am Jerome Jaime, a grade school teacher, an Apple Distinguished Educator, and EdTech coach. Now, I'll be your host for today. And welcome back to Teachers Can Create, upskilling teachers as content creators and instructional materials designers. So, this webinar workshop series is brought to you by TagPros Children in partnership with TagPros Education, an up and coming online K 12 education marketplace where passion takes the lead in learning. And Power Mac Center Incorporated, the pioneer and innovative Apple Premium reseller in the Philippines. Now, this event is also made possible by the Department of Education, International Cooperation Office, Teacher Education Network, and Next Series. First, I'd like to greet all of the teachers in our audience with a belated Happy World's Teachers Day. Now, the past years have been hard on us, but still, we persevered to continue education. We are proud of you. Let's give our teachers a round of applause. We are now at the end of our webinar workshop series. To those who have been with us from the start, especially the ones who have been with us since June, thank you for sticking with us. Last webinar, Miss Grace Montiel joined us to talk about teacher certifications. Today, we'll have a bit of a change up with the format as well as we'll be having a panel for today. But before we go there, let's have an attendance check first. Okay, so we see that we have a lot of participants. So good day to all. Yes, Joseph, thank you so much for participating today from Laguna, DepEd. All right. So, welcome to our participants from all over the Philippines. Next, a few reminders. Please practice responsible digital citizenship and refrain from sharing personal information in the comment section. And that includes your email or your contact number. So let's also be civil to one another in the comment section. Another reminder, registering for the webinar workshop or just watching the webinar workshop does not make you eligible for an e-certificate. So if you want to receive an e-certificate for our webinar, you have to answer the evaluation forms that we release after every session. So after we open the form, you only have 1 week, okay, to answer it before we close it on Friday, 11:59 p.m. Okay. After that, no matter if you watch the webinar workshops or registered for it, you cannot answer the evaluation form anymore. So we hope that you understand and remember this. There are a lot of things to be excited about for today's workshop. First, we will be announcing the winner of the iPad 8 Gen, a 32 gigabyte Wi-Fi version. Do you think you are the lucky winner? Uh, I know everyone is excited to know who won our grand prize, but we would have to make you wait for a bit longer because we are going to announce the lucky winner at the end of the webinar. Lastly, we will also be announcing the winners of Heroes of Learning Photography contest later on in the webinar. But for now, let's showcase the shortlisted nominees for the contest. Okay, so before we go to the webinar workshop proper, we'll go to the results of the raffle for last week's webinar workshop. So first, this raffle draw is made possible by none other than our partner, Power Max Center Incorporated. So for the first prize, everyone who has successfully accomplished the evaluation form last week will receive exclusive discounts when they purchase Power Max Center products. For the second raffle prize, 12 lucky participants will receive 500 pesos e-voucher on Power Max Center's online store. And here are the winners. For the next raffle prize, 20 lucky participants will receive 20% worth of discount vouchers on chargeable services at any Power Max service center nationwide. Here is the list of winners. For the fourth raffle prize, 100 lucky participants will receive 500 worth of training voucher on any paid training of PBSI per webinar workshop session. Again, here are our winners. Once again, these wonderful raffle prizes are made possible by none other than Power Max Center Incorporated. Okay, now let's move on our today's panel. You have already met, okay, most of our panelists for today. They are Apple professional learning providers, and they have been sharing with us their valuable insights during the past webinar workshops. Let us welcome back Ms. Maling Raisag, Ms. Grace Montiel, and Mr. Joseph Kelvin Regla. All right. Hello, dear speakers.
Hello,
Hello,
sir.
Sir Jerome.
Hello po. Okay, so the theme
Good
of today's
afternoon.
panel is why technology alone will not solve educational problems. You know, for the past 2 years, we have faced the daunting challenge of continuing education during the pandemic. And we have been acquainted with technology now more than ever in order to continue teaching and learning. Some of us already had the tools and the know how to navigate the online learning space, but some also struggled with the shift. And moreover, while technology has advanced and aided education in so many ways, there are still some problems in education that cannot be solved by technology alone, and as evidenced by the challenges that education stakeholders have faced during the pandemic. And we have given you some questions um, to answer our main question for today: why can technology alone solve educational problems? And I think let's uh, try to dissect this topic even further, because we know for a very long time technology has been viewed as a distraction rather than a tool for learning. Would you agree? And you know, many schools would even disallow students from using their personal devices inside the classroom. However, with what we have learned during in the recent studies and our personal experiences, as we have said during the pandemic, educators have seen the potential of technology, especially technology integration, as an effective pedagogical approach. So perhaps this is a good time to ask, how have technology tools helped ensure that learning continues during this time of pandemic, perhaps with online learning, online distance learning? And what are the most relevant benefits of using technology tools to students and teachers. Uh, I think, Miss Malin, can you share with us some of your insights about this topic or
Thank you,
question?
Sir Jerome. My thoughts on this is that, yes, the pandemic brought about scattering and isolation in most of us. And that means students will no longer need to come to school, but learning should continue. So, what is the uh, benefit of having technology at this point in time? No, we know that be it radio, be it television, messenger, Facebook Live, Zoom, or Google Meet, all of these tools are technology that gave opportunity for teachers and students to connect together and understand their learning materials. And of course, in the absence of the face to face learning, the only option to communicate, which is the basic thing that a teacher and a student must have, is the available technology. So almost everyone, I think, have a cell phone. So even if they don't have iPads, gadgets, laptops, if they have a cell phone, there is a chance for the teachers and the students to communicate. Yes, communication between teachers and students so that they can understand the learning material is the basic thing. Uh, a lot of schools got shocked, no? It was too sudden when the pandemic and the lockdown came in and the cancellation of the face-to-face classes. But there are a lot of schools who are already into it, no? They are already using technology. And the sad thing, of course, majority is not ready. Uh, for those who are not ready, meaning they don't have proper training, no mental preparation, and infrastructure investment for the readiness. And for those schools who are fortunately ready for the engagement in online learning, that means the teachers are able to allow their students to get engaged with the use of technology, be it through games or videos, or allowing students to create content, submit projects, and do evaluations or assessment of their students with the use of available technology.
Right. So thank you, Miss Mal. I was very much struck with what you said about being ready, okay, for this kind of transition. Because, when the pandemic happened, schools did not have that much time to prepare for this kind of shift. So, uh, how do you think that did that affect the transition and the benefits that they could have gotten from the technology tools? Um, do you think it would have been better if they focus more on other strategies instead of focusing on preparing for the technology based online learning, especially with, for example, the depth ed preparations for online learning and with all the modalities that they have. Let's perhaps Mr. Joseph, Sir Joseph.
Thank you, Sir Jerome. When it comes to technology, I think going back to the question, why can't technology alone solve the
Yes.
problem in education in the Philippines, especially here in the Philippines? Because if we, as we said, technology is just a tool, and if you
Yes.
don't know how to use the tool, you cannot maximize the use of that technology. So the first thing that comes in my mind when it comes to, hey, for example, a school, hey, let's add technology into our classroom. It's a pandemic time. Let's use this technology. Let's use this one. Um, what happens is we rely too much in technology that the teachers are getting bombarded with with new uh, maybe a new app, maybe a new mode of training. Um, we tend to forget that the human essence, the human touch of schools, of learning. That's why I said in my first session, which is creating in instructional video, that is to put the human touch in with technology. Because um, when you do not add the human touch, or for example, you added a lot of technology and you didn't even bother to train the staff, or to train the faculty. I'm talking about staff because in my experience, I always include the IT staff and the faculty with the training, so that they are on the same page, and they will not create a war between them. Na, for example, I'm the teacher, I don't know how to use this, I go to the IT, and the IT guy tells the teachers, we don't know that, we are not trained with that. So that's why technology alone cannot solve everything. So we as individuals, as people, as human beings, should help each other. Like for example, Miss Maleng, Miss Grace, and I, we always talk to each other when it comes to coming up with strategies, trainings for our partner schools, for the teachers as well. So let's not rely too much on technology. Let's rely on ourselves and use technology as a tool to help each other. So that's my my my
All right.
I agree
my
with
point of view.
Joseph, no, if I may add, sir.
Yes. Yes, Miss Malik.
Probably just to share an experience, even before the lockdown, we had a lot of Apple technology installations in some schools. No,
Yes.
having the best technology, I believe, having a Mac lab, and this should solve the technological concern of the school. No, we assume, but sadly, there are schools who doesn't even touch these labs. There are teachers who
Yeah.
are afraid and students who are not encouraged to use it. So technology will definitely, even if you have the best technology, technology will not solve the problem. It's a collaborative effort of all different elements, school policies,
Yeah.
curriculum integration, teacher training support, student engagement, community and parent support to make this happen are just a few of the things that I can think of to allow technological advancement to succeed in any context.
Thank you, Miss Maling, Mr. Joseph. I think what we are getting here is that despite our need to implement technology integration and use technology tools, okay, during this time of pandemic, because right now it's already a need, right? It's already a need. But we should always remember that um, those we are still the ones using these technologies. And if we do not know how to integrate them properly, if we do not put our personal touch into the educational system and the pedagogy that we are trying to implement, then everything will fail. So, training. So, you have said earlier, training is one of the keys, right? Training. But can we really say that we are, that every every teacher has this kind of access to this kind of training? And you know are there difficulties that you have experienced as trainers, for example, in dealing with teachers or participants maybe who are not willing to embrace this kind of pedagogy? Miss Grace, would you like to uh, share something? Your just a bit of your experience on training other teachers and educators, perhaps.
Okay. So for that one, no, sir, there are some really teachers who are afraid to be afraid to be uncomfortable. So they would like to stick on their comfort zone. But however, with the technology right now, yun nga, magiging uncomfortable ka talaga, especially if you're not familiar with it. So it's very important that they are willing to innovate themselves. Like what I mentioned last week, no, it's very important for them to have some sort of training to fully understand how these tools could be integrated in their lessons. Pero yun nga, syempre may mga limitations talaga, no? So based on
Mhm.
my experience, when I'm training teachers, there are some instances, for example, I mentioned a certain application or tool Ang problem naman is the devices that they have is not capable of it. So I think it would also solve if, let's say, for example, in your school, no, you have this kind of ecosystem that could actually support yung mga teachers, who else, yung students, sino pa ba, yung mga ano nyo, parang IT, and even the parents. Kasi let's say parang ang idea lang, okay, binigay ng iPad, binigay ng laptop. Pero the question is, do they know how to use this? Or do they even have the experience? So let's say, mag-experience ng technical issue. Alam ba nila paano i-solve yon? Or let's say, ipinauwi mo dun sa bata yung iPad, no? Pero does the parent know how to even help their kids? Kasi based on what I observe, no, even sa mga pamangkin ko, they're really knowledgeable na sa mga devices, no, even you don't teach them. So it's also important even the parents has the capacity to support these kids. So especially now, no, pandemic. So sabi nga nila yung nanay or magulang talaga ang sinabi nangyaring teacher na ng bata. So
Yeah.
it's important that aside of supporting the teachers, it's also important we also have created a support for these parents para whole ecosystem kasi these things that we have, it would not actually make sense if one person lang yung kinikater natin, like teachers lang, students lang. So it should be a whole parang kumbaga infrastructure kumbaga or ecosystems that would help these people po. So yun po.
Thank you
Ang
so
ganda
much, Ms. Gray.
ng sinabi ni Grace, no? May naisip lang ako bigla, sir, no? The keyword, I think, is the ecosystem.
Yes.
Huwag lang natin yung si technology. It's a factor of a lot of, parang inputs, di ba? And yes, ang daming master teachers. Even before technology entered yung education system, a lot of teachers believe that they are good teachers. They don't need technology. Parang it will be added burden for them to even parang ang galing ko, ba't kailangan ko pa, parang they're not really open to change. So even before the probably creative and technical training, it has to be mindset um, development, no? Having the right mental attitude, preparedness. And I believe webinars like this, the one that Tag Pros is doing, and some of our free webinars are essentials to help teachers understand that upskilling is something that is not should not be they should not be afraid, or having additional skills will not be an extra burden, but instead something na they can learn to love no matter ano man yung age nila.
Wow, that is also very new to me. Something that yan yung ecosystem, the ecosystem that we establish and that we need in order to really capitalize on the potential of technology. So again, it's not just about technology. And dear speakers and everyone in the panel, let me just also recognize the presence of our participants. And, dear participants, if you have questions and ideas that you would like to share, please feel free to share those ideas. We have one here from Manolita Ramos. She said, I agree, sir. So it seems that everybody out there hopes on technology without prioritizing the reskilling and upskilling of teachers, diba? And school staff. It's like jumping to an unknown ocean without even knowing the risks and consequences. And then at times naman, this is my own opinion, at times naman, there's too much naman of everything. Too much upskilling naman, too much training, without giving the proper equipment to the teachers and students. And I
Yes.
think this leads us to the next question, all right? Sorry, there we have a lot of interesting questions right now. One of the major challenges to effective technology integration is providing equal access to technology tools, not only to students but also our dear teachers. And as a concrete example, first, I think you would relate with this very much. There we have students who live in far places away from cell sites. A very simple problem, common problem. And we know that they will surely experience a much slower internet connection. And this will put them at a disadvantage, sadly. Do you think we can do something about this? How can we respond to the problems of unequal access to technology tools in education? Perhaps not only, not only internet, but devices, gadgets, and things like that. Uh, Maybe we can ask once again, Mr. Joseph. Sir Joseph,
Okay.
yep.
Actually, I've been thinking about that question
Mhm.
for a long time now because when this pandemic started, as you know, PBSI is also a training center. Um, Not just the students, but also our trainers experience lack of access with the internet, um, slow internet connection. Maybe for the education, of course, some people or some students might they are living in the far flung places, diba? So they cannot be reached by or the distribution of devices can it be done easily, or their access to the internet is very it's quite slow. It's either slow or up to nothing. They don't have any signal. um I think they can still catch up, but this is in my own opinion. We can have maybe sa the government, or maybe the educational sector can do something like a satellite establishment, a satellite structure wherein, for example, a group of students who are in the mountains can go
Mhm.
there and to have access with learning materials and technology if possible, so that they will be how do you call this? It's not because we cannot really achieve equal access because of the because of many factors, like, yeah, you said that you have slow internet, the cell site is very far, um you live in the mountain, so you cannot really give as of now, with our capability, we cannot really give equal access to everyone at the same time. But maybe we could alleviate the situation by giving them by still doing something to give them access to learning materials. It may not be equal, it may be near to equal. Like, for example, I'm the I'm a fortunate student. I could easily access this material. But for a student like me who lives in the mountains, they can still access that. But the closest thing to being equal is somehow they have delayed access or delayed distribution, because right now in our situation, um equal access cannot be achieved. I think that's my in my opinion, but we can do something about it to make the gap smaller. Like, uh a student living in the city have this access, the a student living in the mountains can access the same the same materials, but on a longer period, if you get what I mean. But so, yeah, we can still do something to alleviate the situation, the burden of the
Yeah.
situation.
All right. So I think that's a sad realization for many of us, right? But that's the reality. Equality of access is, if it's something that we can achieve, it's really difficult. It's a challenge. It's like climbing a mountain. Baka Mount Everest pa nga. So with that kind of reality, well, first of all, let me ask: do you agree, Miss Grace or Miss Malik? Do you agree that um, equality of access to technology tools is not achievable, at least right now, in the Philippines? In the Philippines,
Ako muna.
yes,
In my
Miss
opinion,
Maling, yes.
yeah, in my opinion, we have seen how technology is important to education.
Yes.
Thus, we need government policies who will really be supportive towards this endeavor. Siguro being in the education or the academe for a long time, no, I've seen na there are times that people would say, would rather have classrooms instead of computers. Kasi yung mga anak namin nagkaklase sa ilalim ng puno, 'di ba?
Mm.
So, kailangan mo ba ng classroom o kailangan mo ng
Yes.
laboratory o computer? But you know, if our child, even if he is under the tree, is using a laptop connected to a good Wi-Fi, learning online, that is the same experience being experienced by a child in the United States or any part of the world. So I believe that access to technology is really something that will help us leapfrog development in our country. And para siyang ano eh, magiging patas yung laban, no? Yung especially now that we are entering the digital economy, digital world, where resumes are no longer in paper. Resumes can be in video format or in whatever content that will make the company or the interviewer be impressed at you. No? What else? If you are somebody who cannot apply for work, your laptop can be your home office. You can create apps, sell it online, be a digital entrepreneur. So the power of technology is there, no? So I think this is what we should be asking our selves. Am I help these children under me become future creators, future changers of our society? Diba? So, ayun, technology, yes, we don't have equal access to technology right now, but that's why we need to have good governance, good government with good policies that are prioritizing education. Because I remember before, long time ago, without mentioning any administration, because I'm not into politics at all, there's a program to computerize the Philippines, computerization of the public school system, no? Para siyang School of the Future project. Those are really good ideas and concepts, and it was funded billions. Unfortunately, the task was so big, and after the end term of that particular administration, another admin came in and they shelved the project. So that's the problem with us.
Yes.
Yes, we can start little by little. No, if we have local government officials who are helping, I think that's what's happening right now. No, there are Adopt a School program by DepEd, which is very good. Companies providing technology to chosen school, and some other efforts to really extend help, no, to provide technology to some of the schools. But of course, we know technology is not the answer to it all. No, there are so
Yeah.
many things needed.
Yeah. So, one striking message that I got from Miss Smiling is this, in during the pandemic, we really saw the potential of technology tools, and it opened a lot of opportunities. And we've seen that, students don't need to go to the classroom to learn. And as you've said, sa ilalim ng puno, under the tree, they can use their laptops, of course, with a good internet connection. So it really makes us think what should we prioritize now. Before, I'm on the side of those people who think, why should we prioritize, buying computers, and putting up infrastructures when we don't even have books and classrooms for our students? But Miss Nodding, that's, yeah, that's quite a new perspective for me. And Miss Cruz, would you like to also say something about what Miss Maling mentioned, or would you like to add anything? Yes.
Oh, yes. So, I agree dun with this Maling. It's really important that we have a system for this. So, sabi nga nung, di ba, nag-pandemic, the question lagi is, parang, let's say, we'll use technology. The question is, available ba for everyone? And the next
Mhm.
question na, sige, available na. Afford ba? Let's say, magpakabit ng internet, or let's say may internet na, mabilis ba yung internet sa area? So, you would realize here that technology alone is not the parang kumbaga answer, no, to fix the problem in our education. Kasi kapag nag-come up ka na ng one solution, dun sa solution na yun, magkakaroon ka ulit ng problem eh. So, it's really important again to, kumbaga, sabi nga ni Mas Maling, good governance, no? So, the question is lagi ay, the Philippines capable ba on, let's say, sustaining this kind of education or system that we have right now? So, it's good that, let's say, nag-start na, no? Important na may community movement talaga. So, I see naman there are a lot of movements in the community who have the initiative, no, to help these children who are not really capable to para maabot ng technology, which is good, no? And I also salute teachers, no? I have friends in the provinces na who really take time to go sa kabilang ibayo ng bundok just for these children na maturuan pa rin. And even using, ano bang ngayon, ginagamit radio and even
Yes.
television. So I have a friend who's doing that na nag-radio broadcast siya every morning teaching mathematics. So I think it's not just merely having an iPad, no, but rather being open and ano ba yung other means pa para ma-sustain tong education na ito. And yun nga, hindi nga lang talaga magiging pantay-pantay, pero the idea is at least we have initiative, no? Na we are taking one step at a time para eventually in the future we're able to sustain this kind of education that we want to achieve po.
All right. Yeah. So thank you so much. And again, let's hear from our participants. No, there are a lot of good insights as well from our participants. So since they said it's not that teachers are not willing to embrace. Let it be known that teachers are expected orders without questions. So we're like soldiers, and we don't mind as long as it helps the learning process. But the problem is we don't have budget. The school lack the resources, and worse, we are on our own. Okay, so there. From Miss Charlene, thank you, Teacher Grace. Yeah, so shout out. Sometimes teachers are really afraid to step out to their comfort zones. Bottom line, be teachable. Okay.
Yeah.
Diane Miranda, both students and teachers should be ready in this kind of education setup. If one of the two is not ready, the teaching learning process will be unsuccessful. We should also take note that students have different learning styles. From Sir Philbert, using technology is really a must at present times. Unfortunately, in our own setting, majority of us teachers and students are not that good with ICT. Oh, okay. Oh, moreover, our internet connection is a mess. We are just using data, but its connection is very slow, or even, or most of the time, no connection at all. So that's actually what we discussed earlier. And yeah, so we agree. We have challenges to face. We have problems regarding access. But again, the ecosystem, we have each other. Let's support each other as teachers. All right. Now, I still have one more set of questions here for the panel before we have the questions from the participants. We've talked about accessibility, but it's just one of the challenges that we face in education, especially right now. Can you give other examples of educational issues that technology alone cannot fully address? Okay, and what other approaches aside from using technology can we consider to solve these problems? Wow. Okay, so we're now on our main topic. Maybe sige, Miss Maling, would you like to?
My thoughts lang on this, no? So, parang, why are we using technology ba now? Bakit pa biglang naging bida si technology? What is the most relevant benefit that technology is providing us right now? Isa lang yung sagot, safety.
Yeah.
Safety. No, napaka-importante ng buhay ng bawat isa. Na-imagine ko lang yung mga senior teachers ko nung nag-aaral ako, diba? I don't want any of them to get sick or be on ICU because of this pandemic. No, let's remember that we are on a very difficult situation right now. Globally, there is pandemic. So I think safety is the most relevant reason why we should look at technology as a blessing, as something that is important right now. Part siya ng protective shield mo to be able to continue living, working at home, kahit naman, di lang naman sa teaching, even sa offices, no? We need to be able to to embrace, learn, unlearn whatever, or kumbaga yung mga personal issues, hang mo muna yan. Kasi ito yung,
Yes.
this is the issue at hand. So, uh, I think there shouldn't be any issue if it's safety that we are all agreeing na dapat i-prioritize natin during this pandemic.
Okay, so health issues. Yes, I do agree. And Sir Joseph, I think you were nodding earlier and you were agreeing with what Miss Smiling was mentioning. Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with Miss Maleng because right now even this webinar, even this panel, we're in different places right now, and we're safe. Thank you to technology, and yeah, it's really a blessing to have technology um, in this time of a pandemic. Imagine if this happened in the time where there is where we are still using dial-up internet, we are still using our Nokia or yung mga lumang phones pa. So if this happened back then, baka iba yung approach din natin. So not just the accessibility siguro with technology, but um one major problem din natin talaga sa Philippines is internet connection. Kasi even if you have a phone, even if you have a smartphone, kung yung internet connection mo is not that good, you cannot still participate. Maybe you could do some online classes, but it's laggy, 'di ba? So it's always interrupted. Um Maybe we could for this one, to solve this, maybe we could do it one step at a time. Kasi I was reading also the comments that this is true. Most Filipino has at least one cell phone per household. Yes, so that's technology. But let's think about it like how I do have a cell phone. I can do documents in there. How can I submit if I don't have internet? Syempre magpapaload ka. You just have to load your prepaid data. So, but still, I live in somewhere near in the mountain, 'di ba? I cannot access even if I have load, I cannot access the internet. So, what not just the accessibility to hardware but accessibility to the World Wide Web or the internet connection that connects everything when it comes to learning and teaching during this pandemic. So that's why I stated earlier giving equal access may still be a big challenge for us.
Yeah, we're really hopefully
Hopefully.
hopefully we can do some really, we can get the support that we need with that internet connection problem and everything. Yes. Miss Grace.
Okay. I think nasabi ng halos lahat yun ng Miss Malay, no? Pero siguro in addition to that lang, again, it boils down with the training for the teachers. Kasi even though you provide them with the technology, but they don't really know how to integrate this, then it would not make sense para dun sa mga estudyante. So there are some instances, no, na ginagawa lang ay kumbaga digitalized lang. So, ibig sabihin, kung dati ay may libro, ginawa na lang, okay, PDF na lang. So, yeah, digitalized lang talaga, no? Pero, the question is, how this digitized items could actually be used para kumbaga, ma-support yung learning ng estudyante. So, it's very important to remember that, again, technology is just a tool. There's not a solution para tumalino at gumaling yung mga estudyante natin. Pero it's more of you finding out ano ba yung purpose ng tool, no? So there are some, no, ginagawa nila, ay, na-discover ko tong tool na to, ang ganda, ang galing, so gagamitin ko sa klase ko. Pero, ang question is that tool appropriate para din sa klase mo? There are times, no, kumbaga na-bombard lang yung mga estudyante online. Yung parang napagod lang sila with a lot of things that they have to, let's say, tools that they have to learn. Pero it's not merely helping them to understand fully your lesson. So it goes back to, yes, we have the technology, but how am I going to use this tool or kumbaga ano ba magiging gusto kong outcome ng lesson ko so that mas maging effective yung paggamit. No? Again, it boils down to what? Training for the teachers for further for them to understand how to integrate these things.
So you've heard it from our speakers, our dear participants, our audience. So it's not just about the technology. So there are still a lot of factors that we need to consider and prioritize. Training, the as we said, the ecosystem that we are in, okay, the school, okay, budget, okay, and everything else. So with
Siguro,
that,
if
yes,
I can add lang din, ano, di ba, a lot of
yes, yes,
schools
Maring.
now are using modules for learning.
Yeah.
And even though there are schools na naka-module, there are also teachers na nag-e-effort even through messenger to communicate with their students, no? So
Yes,
I'm happy to note that kasi totoo naman, if you look at just the modules, parang hindi siya enough for a child to really understand compared to pre-pandemic situation where you have the teacher 8 hours every day doing lectures, no? But because we have limited access to technology, but everybody has Facebook, probably have Messenger and other forms of communication using their cell phone with expensive data, I should say, and limited Wi-Fi. So, for example, 5 days module, 4 days module, and then on a Friday you have a Messenger uh, con call with your teachers, which can be a question and answer type of learning. That is something na I think ano na parang may not be the best, may not be the most admirable way, but important, no? It is technology allows during this pandemic teacher and student communication. So yun lang, I think, no, the purpose of technology right now, aside from allowing students to create beautiful contents, videos, and assessment for, ang pinaka-basic is communication between the student and the learner of the learning material that they are studying. Because the parents, me, I'm a parent, it's really hard to teach our kids, no? Kasi you don't even know if ang hirap na i-recall yung mga natutunan mo nung nag-aaral ka pa. So,
yes.
you need the teachers. They are important ingredient in this education system.
Yeah, and with that, Miss Maling, I remember in one of our conferences, a speaker said, learning is actually a conversation. It's a process of conversation between the student and the teacher and his classmates and everyone in the classroom. But right now we are in the pandemic, and as I've said before, this conversation now happens through the technology that we are using. So yeah, I agree very much with what you've said. So designing our materials so that they can be effective communicators or tools for
Mm.
communication is a must. So again, it's not just what the kind of technology you'll be using. It's what kind of design did you prepare so that you can ensure that students will have this quality conversation, not with the material, but with you, with the teacher, okay, with his classmates, yeah, so that learning can happen. All right. So I think that's so much information right now, but we still have questions coming from our audience. And can you please give me a thumbs up if you're still ready to answer those questions? As if you have a choice. But yeah, okay. So thank you so much. So for our first question, yeah, let's see from our audience, Miss. This is from Miss Nelisa Masangke. So one issue with online or blended learning is learning loss. Again, so learning loss of students. How do we address this? Uh,
Learning loss.
I'll give you a minute.
Can you define learning loss? It's my first time to do that. Sorry.
Okay, so what is learning loss first of all? Yeah, what is learning? So learning loss is the amount of perhaps content or learning that students should have covered, but because of the limited time and limited resources, we had to compress content and
Oh, okay.
compress the skills that students are required to take up in a given unit or given curriculum. So with that learning loss issue, how do you think can we address that challenge?
I think, Sir
Um,
Jerome, even
Yes,
before the
smiling.
pandemic, it was already announced by DepEd na
Ah, okay.
magkakaroon sila ng minimum learning competency coverage, no? So instead of the
Yes,
100% lesson content,
yes,
they will only deliver a certain percentage, understanding that there is no face-to-face. And I think I believe that is valid, no? Kasi it's really hard to even gauge if a student is learning if he is not even turning on his camera, the Zoom, or if you give him exam and everything is
yes.
easy to find in Google, even a mathematical question. You can
equation.
just copy paste, search, the answer is there. So the authenticity of the answers of the
Oh, yeah.
students will be something na issue. So I believe it's okay to have learning loss because we are in pandemic. We are in a not natural situation.
Okay. Thank you so much, Miss Smiling. What about Mr. Joseph?
Regarding learning loss during the online or blended learning, um, there will still be definitely learning loss, but we could minimize that loss by carefully planning every lessons and give as Miss Maling stated earlier that it could be given in snippets of learning. So snippets of learning that is very easy to digest for the students, so that if we still have the learning loss, we can minimize the loss during the blended learning or the online learning. Yeah, and yes, we cannot really monitor. We cannot police. Uh, we cannot police ito, the progress of the student.
Yeah.
Hindi natin sila matututukan every time. So, if and this is a reality wherein yun nga kapag online or blended learning there is learning loss, maybe we could do something about it so that we can minimize the learning loss by carefully
Mm-mm.
planning each lessons and giving snippets of the easy to digest contents for students. uh that's my take on that.
Yeah. So what I'm getting here is that learning loss is a reality. It's a reality. It's happening. It's something that we need to accept as teachers, as educators, because it's just a fact. We are in a pandemic, and there is a limit to what we can do as educators, as
Yes.
Mr. Joseph and Ms. Maling have said. You cannot police, you cannot fully assess and check whether the students have understood everything, and we can only do as much. And I think the teachers, especially me, I am a grade school teacher as well, and this is something that stresses us out. It causes us anxiety. Paano ko nga ba make sure that my students learned what they have to learn, okay? Because the school gave me the list of skills, the list of content that my students need to understand or acquire at the end of the unit. So how do I make sure that they get this, that nothing is lost along the way? Yeah. What about you, Miss Grace? What is your idea or point regarding this learning loss, the challenge of learning loss?
Okay. So sabihin ko sana very well said Miss Maling and Sir Joseph, no? Okay. Pero for this one, I agree na, hindi na maski noon pa eh, 'di ba? Kahit na hindi wala pang pandemic, nagkakaroon talaga ng learning loss pa rin yung estudyante. And I think now, mas malaki lang talaga yung nagiging gap.
Yeah.
So, it's very important for us to understand and parang kumbaga, see muna, step backward ka muna. Yung kumbaga, yung lesson mo ba or let's say the plans that you have or let's say the curriculum that you have, is it still appropriate during this time? Kasi baka mamaya, you're still applying pala yung old one during the face-to-face, which is really the online cannot cope up with that. So it's best if you step backward and see if the curriculum that we have is still applies today and kung too heavy ba yun or not. Yun po.
Okay.
Sir
Thank you
Jerome,
so much. Yes, Miss Mari.
naalala ko lang, no, kasi there is a lesson na, for example, no, online na ngayon, but my kid, yung anak kong isa, yung lesson niyang isa na sa computer class niya, proper attitude and care of our computer laboratory. So, hindi nga siya nakakapunta sa computer laboratory, nasa house lang siya. So, tama ka, there should be a careful review of the curriculum
Yeah.
of what is relevant and not relevant at this point in time. So, siguro, naisip ko lang bigla yun kasi nga, that was one part of the item na nire-review namin. And it was tough, no?
Yeah,
Making
yeah.
na walk quietly along corridors, fix the chairs after
Yes.
using. Parang hindi siya relevant sa condition na.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Kaya dapat po i-plan talaga if need i-revamp and then the way to deliver it you deliver it in chunks na
Mm-mm.
maintindihan sila. Parang gano'n.
Yes. So no rushing, plan everything well, okay? And do the same for the students. And there's another interesting question here. In terms of strategy, okay, so what do you think is the best strategy for learners to be fully engaged in a 1 hour synchronous class? I think he's talking about the online synchronous class. Okay, so student engagement. Okay, how can we make sure that students are engaged? What kind of strategy? What's the best
Ako,
strategy that we can use?
sir, no? I think one thing that works very well with our type of children and students right now is gamification. Kahit
Gamification.
tutulog-tulog yan, may marinig lang yan na game, parang feeling nila, ay, relevant si teacher. Ay, interested ako. Kasi yung natural, innate quality of us Filipinos who are into gaming, parang gusto natin may pa-contest, pagalingan,
Yes.
na bubuksan palagi. So ako lang, I think if I am the teacher, I will use games or gamification to allow engagement during the 1 hour limited time.
Okay, so gamification, teachers. And again, gamification is, although it's an effective strategy, again, dear teachers, you don't just put up a game and then call it a day. Yung hindi lang natin paglalaroin yung mga students. I hope we all are on the same page. When we say gamification, the objective is still learning, okay? We still have our objectives, but we put elements of games in our lessons or engagement. Yeah. What about Mr. Joseph? What do you think? Sir.
Actually, naunahan ako ni Miss Maling. That's one of my topics in my past webinars. Yes, to keep everyone engaged, you can do gamification or you can do a quick poll, quick survey. You can use Mentimeter if you're familiar at
Or doodle,
menti.com.
Joseph. Drawing.
Yeah, or you can use
Doodle,
doodles,
yeah.
you can use graphics. Mostly I do doodles with aside from doing gamification like my previous session with Scratch and Makey Makey. You could do icebreakers or small fun activities, small enjoyable activities before you start everything.
Mm-mm.
It could only take up 5 to 10 minutes of your 1 hour lecture, but it's still paano ba to? Mabubuhayan sila or they will
Yeah.
be energetic at the start of your session.
Yes. So again, it's not something, dear participant, it's not something that is very complicated. You don't need to put out something that a very complicated strategy, yung something that students have to open a lot of applications. The simpler, the better. The simpler, Simplicity is clarity. I think that's the message that I'm getting. Miss Grace.
Okay, so helpful then again, sabi nga yung mga drawing, no? So there are
Okay.
some that
So, yeah.
really parang visual learners sila. So if you have some visual Asian na may animation, so it would really helpful them as well to easily understand what you are yung lesson nyo for the day. So for my case, visual learner kasi ako. So gusto ko somehow hindi lang yung teacher yung nakikita ko, pero may something new for that day.
Mhm.
Also helpful, I think, yung may collaboration din sila during the class. So meaning hindi lang ikaw yung nagsasalita, but still
Okay, yeah.
they get to share their ideas. Kasi for sure, for some, no, mga ibang estudyante, tulala na lang yan or nakatulog
Mm-mm.
na lang. So
Yes,
you allow them to participate as well during the class.
that's right. Yeah, so like what we are doing right now, dear participants. So malamang if we simply talked here without, without asking you to give us questions and everything, perhaps most of you would be sleeping right now. But since we're answering some questions coming from you, it brings out the engagement. So there, involve the students, of course.
Yes.
So we can still entertain one last question, and I think this one is what can you call it? It's like an intellectual kind of doubt because the question is phrased like this. Okay? May pagkatuto nga ba ang mga mag-aaral sa panahon ng pandemya sa tulong ng teknolohiya? So, are they really learning?
Oo naman.
Yes.
Oo na.
Yes.
Hindi ako magaling wala. Sorry. Pero yes, definitely, natututo yung mga bata, no? Bakit? Because they are very comfortable with technology. They are born na
They are born with technology.
digital natives, no? Ah, bigyan mo lang ng iPad o cellphone, 2 years old, 3 years old, kahit hindi mo i-train, alam na kung anong pipindutin. 'Di ba? There are kids na ang unang sinasalita ay English. Why? Kasi na-expose sa YouTube. Hindi kinakausap ng nanay. Busy si nanay sa paglalaba. Si yaya naman, busy din sa gawaing bahay. Kausap ng bata ay ang YouTube at ang natutunan niya pagsasalita ay English. So, yes, I believe na merong pagkatuto because if you are engaging them or making the things that they love most become the tools for learning, parang learning becomes a very natural thing for them. Yun lang yun sa akin.
Thank you, Miss Smiling. Sir Joseph?
Yeah, I agree with Miss Maleng. Kids nowadays, they love devices. And alam naman natin na kapag mahal mo ang isang bagay, mas magugustuhan mo siyang gamitin, mas matututo ka. So, especially with the kids nowadays, yeah, I agree. A 7-year-old, a 5-year-old can use technology better than their parents. So, as for the kids, may pagkatuto ba sa ngayong pandemya gamit ng teknolohiya? Yes, very po. And let me just add lang din, technology is inevitable. It is forever here. It's forever, it will continually develop. We do not know, baka meron ng baka may holograms na 'di ba? Baka in the near future, we have holograms as a classroom wherein si teacher hologram, all the students are hologram, and they're interacting with each other. So, um, since yun nga, technology, yes, it helps us learn, not just the students, but also the teachers and the educators like us. And ulitin ko lang sinabi ko kanina, for kids, natututo talaga sila with technology because they love technology. If you love something, you use it every day, you love learning. So they will continue to learn using technology.
Okay.
Yun po.
Thank you so much. Miss Grace?
Okay. Siyempre po, no, big yes to that
Yes,
na malaki talagang or may natutunan talaga sila sa this time of pandemic using the technology. Siguro sabihin mo na lang kahit na sa Facebook nga lang daming mga nagagawa ng tutorial sa Facebook na wherein yung mga syempre pag estudyante may mga Facebook yan. So I could say that they're really learning from this kind of things that they have, no? So sabi nga, ano pa ba yung mga application na uso? TikTok. So they say that
Mm-mm.
mga nagda-dance lang. Pero
Yeah.
when you go to TikTok, it has a lot of contents that supports not just the students but also the teachers. So I could really say that indeed, kumbaga feeling ko nga ngayon mas malaki yung natutunan nila eh. Kasi mas
Mm-mm.
maraming kumbaga yung mas nag-strive na mag-create ng content to share to other people.
Yeah.
Kumbaga
Yeah.
lumalabas yung pagiging creative talaga ng mga
Yeah.
Pilipino.
Yes, yes, yes.
Totoo po. Yeah, I do agree. So, yung the amount of content that young people are creating right now on TikTok alone, okay? We can't say na wala talaga silang natututunan from those creations and videos. So it might not be what we are expecting as teachers, but definitely they are learning. So let's tap on the potential of those platforms, of those applications and educational tools. And we may be surprised what our students can create, can make, okay, even with limited resources, even with, just their phone and data. So thank you so much, Miss Maling, Sir Joseph, and Miss Grace. This ends our open forum. We thank you so much for giving us your time. For our participants, if you have any further questions, you may forward them to us at Tag Pros Education Facebook page, and we will try our best to give you the answers you seek from our guest panelists. Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
all right. Now we promised to show you the nominees for our um, finalists. So I think we can now show the video. We just had a technical issue earlier.
Looking out into the road, trying hard to get through the rain. Even when the skies are gray, you're always there to show the way. Telling me things I need to hear, a gentle hand but a firm command. You've taught me lessons to succeed, shed your wisdom we all need. You've been my strength as well as my friend, inspiring me every now and then to reach for my hopes and dreams that seemed so far away. I look up to you for all that you are, a guiding light through the dark of night. You let me see what I can be. Thank you for believing in me. Foster the fire Looking out into the road, trying hard to get through the rain. Even when the skies are gray, you're always there to show the way. Telling me things I need to hear. A gentle
Once again, we thank our panelists for sharing their valuable insights to us. And now, after watching the finalist, a very inspiring video of our finalists, we will move on to the announcement of the top three winners of Heroes of Learning 2021. To all the people who have nominated the teachers who have inspired them the most during learning in the pandemic, thank you. Thank you for sharing their stories to the world. Their heroism, teachers have shown during these challenging times. They deserve to be lauded. With that being said, it's my honor to introduce to you the top three winners of Learning 2021. So the nominees for Luzon, I'm sorry, this is for NCR. Again, top three winners for NCR. Nominees for Luzon, the top three winners for Visayas, and nominees from Mindanao. All right. And this is our most awaited time for this webinar. We will now be announcing the winners of the Heroes for Learning 2021 photography contest. Winner for NCR, Mr. Daryl Paderogo. Nominator, Mr. Marvin V. Rubia. The winner for Luzon category, Sir Jim Ryan Velasco. Nominator, Ms. Nerissa Agudera Reduta. For the Visayas category, Western Visayas, Jesse Comprendillo. Nominator, Jose Sixto Rafael IV. And for the Mindanao category, Agusan del Norte, Mr. Edgar Elago. Nominator, Joanne Jane Evangelista. And that is all the winners for this year's Heroes of Learning. Again, to all winners who sent their nominations, thank you for sharing their inspiring stories of teachers trying to overcome the adversities they face during learning in the pandemic. Our partners, DepEd, ICO under the leadership of Director Margarita Ballesteros, EN and PMC, as well as Tagpros Education's CEO Chris Manansala. Again, all the raffle prizes as well as this year's Heroes of Learning would not be possible without Power Mac Center Incorporated. Sorry, and now I know a lot of you are eager, okay, to know if you are the lucky winner of the iPad 8 Gen 32 gigabyte Wi-Fi version. Okay. Well, the wait is over. Okay. But okay, before that, I think there is a video that we want to show you. Okay.
Magandang araw po. Good morning to all. My name is Christian Manansala, founder and CEO of TagPros USA. First and foremost, it is my pleasure to join you at the awarding ceremony of our first ever Heroes for Learning Awards to celebrate this year's World Teachers' Day. Even though we are not able to gather physically to celebrate this momentous event, I hope we can still use this to show appreciation to teachers and our colleagues for their hard work and sacrifices in educating our children in these very challenging times. As you know, the pandemic has no doubt disrupted the way we live, learn, and work. It had also presented huge challenges to our educators when schools adopted a full home based learning approach. I am so glad that many of you have embraced these changes readily despite the challenges that you face in juggling your work while looking after your families. Please continue your good work because aside from us parents, you are our children's other role model. You are their strength, you are their inspiration, and most importantly, you are also their heroes. Today we gather to honor you as heroes of learning as we celebrate this year's World Teachers' Day. On behalf of the men and women of Tag Pros and our sponsor, PowerMac, we would like to thank you for all your dedication and unwavering support to the millions of children and families across the nation. Congratulations! Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po kayong lahat.
Good morning, everyone. This is Director Marge Ballesteros of the International Cooperation Office, wishing everyone a healthy and safe weekend. Again, I would like to greet every single teacher, every hero and heroine, not only of the Philippines, a happy World Teachers' Day. This afternoon, you are going to witness another learning session. At the same time, the awarding of the winners of the competition that Tag Pros through Empower Ed in partnership with Jim Toscano's a session and learning session, of course, together with the International Cooperation Office. That virtual competition on posting a picture together with your caption or your short story telling about the picture. I would have loved to join, but I did post one, but it's a picture of my mom, my 90-year-old mother, who was my first teacher, my first reading teacher, who at this point in time still loves to read. Teachers, you are valued, you are loved, because this future, this coming generation, even this generation owes a lot from you guys. So keep on teaching, keep on learning, unlearning, and relearning. At this time of the pandemic, we have seen how you guys have moved mountains with your love, your passion, your commitment for the teaching profession. Through the Department of Education or with DepEd, I would say again, thank you, dear teachers. You are indeed our heroes and our heroines, not only at this time of the pandemic, but even beyond. To Jim and to Tag Pros, thank you for shepherding this kind of learning session for our teachers, not only for the private sector, but also for our, of course, the public sector. Truly, partnerships matter. Engagements for the love of education matter. So again, dear teachers, your voices matter. It's not only in the classroom. It's not only in your virtual classroom, but also in the world. So keep roaring because your voices matter. Again, congratulations. Thank you, Jem, and to your team. To everyone, have a good day. And congratulations to the winners.
So we will be
Hello everyone, I'd
posting.
like to Hello everyone, I'd like to congratulate our Heroes of Learning winners. We are really proud of you, dear teachers. You know what? I agree with Lee Shulman when he said that classroom teaching is perhaps the most complex, most challenging, and most demanding, subtle, nuanced, and frightening activity that the human race has ever invented. In fact, when compared to the complexity of teaching with that much more highly rewarded profession, doing medicine, he concluded that the only time medicine even approaches the complexity of an average day of classroom teaching is in an emergency room during a natural disaster. So, dear teachers, teaching is hard, and not everyone is called to teach. Thank you for staying in the profession, and our Heroes of Learning, congratulations once again. God bless everyone. See you soon.
All right, so we will be posting the stories of our winners on our Facebook page to celebrate their work. For all nominees and winners, please wait for the email of Tag Pros for your prizes and congratulatory messages. And now I know a lot of you are eager to know if you are the lucky winner of the iPad 8 Gen 32 GB Wi-Fi version. So, well, the wait is over because it's time to announce the winner of the grand prize. The winner of the 8 Gen 32 GB Wi-Fi is... Okay. Congratulations to Miss Leia C. Pasqua. So you are our winner of the iPad 8 Gen 32 GB Wi-Fi version. Again, all of the raffle prizes, as well as this year's Heroes of Learning, would not be possible without Power Mac Center Incorporated. So thank you for making this webinar workshop. Please send your love to them. Okay, tell us what you thought about today's webinar workshop in the evaluation form. The link is presented on the screen, as well as on the comment section. Answering the evaluation form is necessary for claiming your e-certificates. For today's webinar workshop, we will not have a raffle draw. Okay, reminder, you have 1 week to answer the evaluation form to get an e-certificate. And that ends today's webinar workshop in this webinar workshop series. We hope to see you all again at our next webinar workshop, where we will be joined again by Dr. Venus Alvoruto as she discusses how we can use strategic intervention materials, or SMIS, to improve student outcomes in distance learning. We will be releasing more details soon. As always, keep updated with TagPros Education by following our official social media pages. Invite your family and friends as well. Again, I'm Jerome, and thank you for joining us today.